Healthcare is so expensive in general, but if you live with a chronic condition, expect to spend some cash. Hey guys, it's Maggie and I am back today because you know what? It's 2026, it's a new year, and with every new year for a patient, it is stressful. The rollover to a new year is basically just looks like dollar signs to me going out the window. That is because our insurance renews, so we are back to square one. We have not met our deductible yet. We have not met our out-of-pocket max. And so it feels like every time we go to the doctor, it's just more and more expense. And I actually think that sometimes the stress of finances when it comes to spending money on my healthcare, that's more stressful than the actual symptoms I experience. That's ridiculous. It's true. It's true. So anyways, in today's video, I thought that we could commiserate about that, kind of complain together, but also talk about financially planning for our healthcare in 2026. So we will do that in just a moment, but before we get into it, I do want to thank my sponsor for today, Element. I love my Element. It's my favorite zero sugar electrolyte drink mix, and they also have sparkling waters, which Zach and I have been downing like crazy. What I love is that it is a great electrolyte replacement, especially if you deal with chronic dehydration like myself. I always feel so much better when I take in either my electrolyte packets in water or I drink some of this stuff. It has 1,000 milligrams of sodium in the electrolyte drink mixes, 200 of potassium, and 60 of magnesium. And these guys, these new guys, have half of that. So keep that in mind. But they're both delicious. There are so many delicious flavors. Grapefruit, black cherry, there's orange for these guys, raspberry. I drink a lot of the raspberry salt flavor. They're just really good and they make me feel so much better. Get rid of that headachiness, that fog, that brain fog that I experience anytime I start to get dehydrated. And I think it's really helped me with breastfeeding, making sure that I stay hydrated in order to make enough milk for my daughter. There's no unusual ingredients in it. There's no gluten. They're paleo friendly, vegan friendly, and Element is kindly offering a free sample pack to all of my viewers if they make an order on Element. So you'll get that deal only by going to my link, drinkelement.com/LetsTalkIBD. That's DRINKLMNT.com/LetsTalkIBD. Take advantage of that free sample pack. You get to try a few different flavors. You can share it with somebody or keep it all to yourself. Thank you so much to Element for sponsoring. And I'm actually going to crack this guy open because I've got to get started on my hydration today. Okay, so I am not new to the surprise bills coming in the mail after you had surgery. I remember after I had my pyeloplasty for my kidney, my right ureter to my kidney, I got a surprise bill one day. Opened up my phone and saw a notification. I was sitting in a restaurant enjoying a meal with friends and I saw that I owed $6,000 and I got choked up. I'm like, I don't even know how I'm gonna pay for this. This is wild. I think healthcare is just stupid. Okay? I don't like that it's unclear. I don't like the layperson cannot fully understand what is going on. I don't like that sometimes you go to a doctor and you pay nothing and then the next time you go to that same doctor you pay $50. I don't like that you get labs and you don't pay anything the first time and you go back and then suddenly you're paying $120. Just had that happen this year. It's so frustrating. And these kind of expenses add so much stress. Like I am really stressing out about my wisdom teeth removal, which is going to go under medical insurance, I believe. Although, you know, who knows, right? What's actually going to happen. But it's just insane. So the only thing I can think to do is just try to plan ahead of time. Anytime that I plan out expenses, I always feel a little bit better. It doesn't resolve the expenses. It doesn't make them go away, but at least I can sort of plan out my year to maximize my insurance usage and minimize my personal expenses. And I think it's important to note I am not an insurance expert, a tax expert. In fact, I feel like I'm so far removed from it, even though, you know, I worked in the hospital as a nurse. I think people assume that you understand how insurance works, and it's like, no, like I could do medical procedures on you. Like I could insert a feeding tube, but I don't know what that costs. I have no idea because I'm not in that part of it. There are so many people that are much more knowledgeable about this than I am, and I highly suggest you look them up. I'd actually love if anybody is an expert on this. I'd love to like talk to them on my channel potentially, because it's just so unclear to the layperson. Anyways, there are so many things that pop up in chronic health in particular that add to these expenses. Medications. I remember the first time I was put on Humira, not having any understanding of what insurance would cover or anything like that. You know, I call them up to place my first order and they tell me your copay is, I think, $3,000 or something like that. And I sobbed. I was like, what? Well, then I can't do this. Like, I'm just going to have to be sick, I guess. It's not what wound up happening, of course. But it's those kind of experiences that really just stress you out. Ostomy supplies for myself because I have a stoma. Expensive. You have to get an MRI. Expensive. I've spent $500 on MRIs before. There are so many things that pop up, and sometimes they're expected, sometimes they're not. You can just try to plan as best as you can, right? I think it's important to acknowledge this, that these expenses popping up in chronic illness, they are not your fault. You're not being financially irresponsible because you suddenly got a $6,000 bill that no one told you was coming. It's not because you're financially irresponsible. You know, you try to save money as best as you can and have that buffer for when health expenses come up, but sometimes they are so catastrophically expensive that it's like, how can anybody manage this unless you're rolling around in millions of dollars? I don't know. So I feel like I should note that. So again, I'm not an insurance expert, but the things that I keep in mind are insurance premiums. Thankfully, we get insurance through my husband's work now, but I had private insurance before, and I was spending $517 a month on that for them to cover almost nothing. So you have to keep that in mind when it comes to your expenses. You have with your insurance your deductibles, so that is the amount of money you have to reach before your insurance fully kicks in. Ridiculous. Then you have your copay. That's usually listed on your insurance card, at least it is for me, and it tells me how much I'm going to pay when I go to the office for certain types of doctors. So if I have a sick visit with my primary care, I know it's going to cost me $25 or $30. I can't remember. It's one of the two. If I go to my specialist, my GI specialist, or a different one, like when I had sinus surgery, an ENT, that's a specialist, I have to pay $50 every time I go to the office. When I went to my fertility doctor, every time I stepped foot in that office, it was another $50. Thankfully, I actually got refunded for that. Why? I don't know. But it was a nice check to receive after all that nonsense with my ectopic pregnancy. Then you have your coinsurance. This is the percentage you still pay after you hit your deductible. So mine is like 80%, 20%. They pay 80% of whatever it is I'm having done, and then I pay 20%. And then I have my favorite, the out-of-pocket maximum, which I hit nearly every single year. I think every single year for the last 5 or 6 years, just because I've had surgeries and things like that, and that helps you hit it pretty quick. Or medications. This is the maximum amount of money you'll spend per year on your health. Like, you will not exceed it. And then, of course, you have your in-network and your out-of-network doctors or healthcare professionals. I've had experience with that this past year, having gone to a pelvic floor therapist that is out of network. They just don't take insurance, and I've learned about having to submit claims myself. I've never done that before, so a lot of fun just to get it all denied. As you can see, I'm so cynical about this because I dealt with it with my dad. I remember it was a huge stressor on my dad, the caregiver. And then it became a stress on me when I turned 26 and had to do all of this. And then it's become a stress on my husband because now he is having to see all of this, not just for, seeing his wife have all these costs, but he's learning it for himself now, just going to regular doctors and stuff. So those are the things I look at when it comes to insurance. And then we look at the year in total. Whenever your insurance renews, typically it's January, but I know depending on certain other companies and stuff, if you get your insurance through work, sometimes it's not January, sometimes it's like 6 months in, July. I feel like I worked for somebody that had that. I feel like my insurance renewed at a weird time of year once upon a time. Anyways, what I always expect is early in the year, so January, I'm going to have high costs because everything renews. My deductible goes back down to 0. I haven't met it yet. I haven't gotten close to my out-of-pocket maximum. Then like mid-year, I usually hit that deductible. So my insurance starts to cover a bit more. And then towards the end of the year, usually October, November time, I'll hit my out-of-pocket max. And that's when you're like, let me schedule everything. I think that procedures and stuff, if you have to get regular colonoscopies, everybody's trying to knock them out in December because they've met their out-of-pocket maximum, and it's like, let me get it all done while it costs me nothing. So this kind of gets you thinking about planning for the year, looking at when should I schedule procedures where it's not going to cost me as much, and how can I save up some money for, you know, the new year when things are going to be more expensive for me. Depending on how you're going to hit your deductible and how you're going to hit your out-of-pocket max, this also plays into how you're going to schedule out your year. Right now for myself, I am paying towards those amounts. In the past, that's not how it always was, and I will talk about that shortly when it came to being on a pretty expensive medication. It actually made it so I hit things a lot quicker, but I wasn't actually spending the cash. Now, I'm the one spending the money. When I gave birth, I got a big old bill. When I get procedures done, I get a big old bill, and I'm the one that has to pay them. So when it comes to procedures, it's like, it doesn't matter what procedure is costing me the money to reach my out-of-pocket max. Not really, so I'm not worrying about it too much. Also, right now, the GI doctor that I have is pretty laid back, and as long as my symptoms are doing good and my blood work is doing good and I'm okay with it, I haven't been getting colonoscopy. Well, I'm not getting colonoscopies anyway because I don't have a colon, but ileoscopies and endoscopies I'm not getting as frequently. I'm not getting MRIs as frequently as I once was. I had much more conservative doctors in the past that were like, every 6 months we want you to get this done, or every year we want you to get this done. The doctor I have right now is more playing off of what I want, and I'm totally fine not getting scoped so frequently. It's not that fun. So what are some ways that we can reduce our medical costs? I think the first thing is just knowing your out-of-pocket max and your deductible at the beginning of the year, you know, keeping in mind what you need to spend really helps when it comes to budgeting. If you know what you're spending on something, then you know what you need to save up and you know what you can realistically spend elsewhere. Also, estimating your cost of care for the year, which I will do with you guys in just a moment. And if it is at all possible, I know for myself it is very difficult, so I understand if you can't, but setting aside a buffer amount of money for those unexpected costs. When you have a chronic illness, you never know when something is going to pop up. You know, one year I went septic with my kidney. Another year I had an ectopic pregnancy. Another year I had a lot of trouble with a wound healing. You never know when you're going to have so much more expense. So if you can set aside some money in a savings account, in an FSA, HSA, try to do it. But I know that is a lot easier said than done. Also, take a look at your insurance in November. I know we're not anywhere near that now. Take a look at your insurance in November. It's something Zach and I sit down and do every single year when it comes up for your insurance coverage. You know, if you want to change it, get rid of it, increase it, whatever. We take a look at our real expenses that we had the previous year and see if what we have is adequate. We didn't have dental insurance for a long time, but we decided last year, let's get it. We need to start taking care of our teeth. So this whole dental thing, I know I waited pretty late in the year to start it, but it has been in the back of our minds for quite some time. So we added the dental insurance to hopefully reduce costs there. For Zach, you may have noted that he wears glasses. So he gets glasses pretty frequently. Thankfully, his dad actually works with an optometrist, so that helps. But he's got eye coverage for him. I don't have it for myself because I always say the healthiest thing that I have is my eyes. I have almost perfect vision, so I know if my doctor keeps wanting me to get my eyes checked, and it's like, ugh, another thing, another potential expense. But we don't have eye insurance for myself. We also had to keep in mind, we have a daughter now, so we've got her on our plan. We switched from, I guess we switched to a family plan in May when she was born, but we took a look at that as well, and we were looking at, do we need dental insurance for her? We wound up talking to the dentist to see when he recommended her going to the dentist. They actually said when she was 3, which I was surprised. I thought it was when they got their first tooth. So I'm just going to confirm with her pediatrician, but she has no teeth at the moment. We're waiting. We're waiting for something to pop out for months now, but you know, whatever. And finally, start tracking things early and try to plan ahead for the year based on your previous year. And that's what we're gonna do now. Okay, let's sit down and take a look at our potential 2026 medical expenses. That's the thing about it, is it's all potential. When you have something like Crohn's disease or a different chronic illness, or maybe you're just a healthy person, there are unexpected things that pop up in every aspect of life, but absolutely they can pop up in your health as well. The best that we can do is take a look at 2025, look at all of our expenses when it came to managing our health, and try to plan a little bit for 2026. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. The first category that I'm going to look at is all of my appointments that I had last year. Now, it's definitely gonna look different because I was pregnant last year and I had a ton of OB appointments. So as far as I know right now, we're not gonna have that. Who knows what the end of 2026 will bring. I was going like every 2 weeks and then every week in 2025. So that definitely helped pack into the expenses for medical health. But some things that are kind of standard for me. I have GI checkups every 6 months. So I know that at least twice in 2026, I will see my GI doctor. And I typically see him in the spring, so March, and then I will see him in September, the fall. And I know that I pay a copay of $50 for that. I actually have my insurance pulled up here with my ID card for 2026. I think the actual physical copy is arriving in the mail today, but the mail has not come, so I've got it online. And my specialist visit is $50 for a copay. So what I can do is, I've got a little Excel sheet here. Let me pull that up. So GI, March, we know we're gonna spend $50. And then GI September, we are gonna spend another $50. Okay, so there is that. Then I have been going to a pelvic floor therapist that is not in network for my insurance. My husband is very brave to try and fight this and appeal it for me to get our insurance to cover some of it. But I'm gonna plan like that's not gonna happen. And it seems like I will be seeing her for at least a few months monthly. And it is costing me $195 out of pocket each visit. So if I am to go in, let's say we go January, February, March, April, let's just plan for 4 months. Let's put in 195, 195, 195, and 195. Okay, there we go. Where did my little sticky note go? I just put it down. Oh, here it is, right in front of me. What else? Labs. So I don't exactly remember what my labs cost, but typically I get labs once a year, if not twice. I know the last time I went, even though it was the end of the year, I had to pay something like $120. So let's just put labs. I'm gonna put 150. We'll be a little bit conservative there. It's like, I don't know when they're gonna charge me. Sometimes they don't charge me and sometimes they do. And that is really frustrating as a patient when it's just all muddied, like it's not clear at all. Okay, so sick visits. Let's plan on being sick twice this year, in which I need to go to my primary care person. Let's see, sick visit, let's do 2. I pay a copay of, I believe, $30 each time I go. So let me just confirm that. Oh, no, 25. Okay, let's put that in. So I'm going to charge myself $25 to go get sick. I will also see my gynecologist. I actually don't know. Sorry if you hear the fridge behind me. I actually don't know. Is that a specialist? Gynecologist. A specialist? I feel like it is. Yes, a gynecologist is a medical specialist. Either way, let's just throw $50 in there to be conservative. I know that like a regular yearly gynecology appointment is covered, I'm pretty sure, but I'm gonna put $50 in there. Hope we're good. Dental. Wisdom teeth removal. I don't even know what this is going to cost me. And this is one of those things that is gonna help me reach my max out of pocket quicker and my deductible, because I believe it's being done under my medical insurance because my teeth are not fully erupted. That's how they explained it to me. I do believe it's going to be a few thousand. In my mind, I'm thinking 3,000. We'll see. I should get a call this week, but let's just, I don't know. Do I put that in there? Let's just see. I'm going to wait. I'm going to leave that blank, but it's something to keep in mind. This is one of those things where you want to have your Excel sheet or your notebook. If you don't know the cost yet, write it down when you find out. And keep track of all this too. Keep track of the actual cost of things as you go throughout the year, because that'll help you with your taxes. That's why I'm keeping track of all of this. I think those are all of my appointments that I can expect. Along with that, you got to think about your mileage, your tolls, your parking costs. I know that when I was going to the hospital in Philadelphia, I would have to pay parking. Sometimes they would cover parking at the hospital, they validate your parking, and other times they wouldn't. I don't know why, but you got to factor that in. I always factored in the mileage. So the year that I had my proctocolectomy surgery and I had to keep going to see the surgeon because my wound wasn't healing, we were writing it down. We had so many medical miles that year. I also had a ton of medical miles when I was on IV fluids because I was going basically all the way to King of Prussia, which was about an hour drive. Had a lot of mileage that year. Our accountant actually asked us, I believe it was for 2024, hey, your mileage is a lot lower for medical expenses. Like, that's not really consistent. And I was like, yeah, it's because it's going to vary. It's going to vary based on your health. So you got to keep that in mind. My mileage, basically, the OB was about 45 minutes away and my GI is an hour away. You want to account for both getting there and going back. I don't spend any on tolls and I don't spend any money on parking. Thank goodness. But those are the three that I'm thinking of that really, that's a big drive. So I'm just going to write that down to keep it in mind. Let's see, mileage, parking, tolls, and what you can do is just go on Google Maps and see how many miles your drive is going to be, and then put it into your Excel sheet or whatever you're using to track. Now for pelvic floor therapy, they're only like 10 minutes away, and when I go to my regular doctor, they're like right down the road, so I do keep track of that, because it is something, but it really doesn't make that much of an impact. But we always do include it. Okay, let's see. What else do we have? This one. Okay, ostomy supplies. There was a point at which I was spending a lot of money out of pocket for ostomy supplies because I could not get a prescription from my GI doctor or my colorectal surgeon. They both said they didn't feel comfortable doing it. So I was spending over $400 a month, and I definitely accounted for that on my taxes. Now my ostomy supplies are covered because I have a WOCN who writes the prescription. And I looked back to last year. I went on my account for Adapt Health, that's where I get my supplies, just to see what was going on. And this is what I believe is what happened. I spent in February $228.73, and then I think I hit my deductible pretty quickly after that. And so they were covered fully. I have not been charged for anything since. So I believe that was probably because of all of my OB appointments. I hit the third trimester in February, and from that point forward, I was going pretty frequently. I was getting a lot of ultrasounds too, and more than typical. So I'm pretty sure that is what happened with that. But I am going to put in here that $228, just so I know that's an early expense. And that's what's really hard, is you just had the holidays. You probably spent a bit more money than you normally do around that time. And then January comes and you have all of these medical expenses that you kind of, once you hit your deductible, you had the co-insurance kick in, and maybe you hit your max out of pocket. Maybe you weren't spending any money for your health. And then it's like, it renews, and it is so stressful. All right. And then something else to keep in mind, and this is something I really want to note for you guys, your medicine. My medicines last year were basically going to CVS and picking up, what was I on last year? Maybe a round of antibiotics a couple times. That might have been it. That might have been it, honestly. I don't know. I think that was. But in the past, when I was on Humira, honestly, that was fantastic when it came to medical expenses, because I would get the patient care card through AbbVie, the manufacturer who makes Humira. They gave this card out that had, I believe it was $16,000 to go towards your copays for Humira, and Humira's expensive. So that counted. Sometimes this doesn't happen, but it actually counted for me with my insurance towards my deductible and my out-of-pocket max. So it would see me as spending all this money on the copays for Humira, when really it was AbbVie spending the money. And it is so helpful, honestly, because you hit everything so quickly. The drug is so expensive. You hit everything so quickly, and then you don't have any expenses the rest of the year. It was magnificent. But I am not on Humira anymore, and I wouldn't just continue the drug just for the insurance benefits. So it was definitely helpful. That's the hard part, is trying to schedule your year out to maximize your insurance usage and minimize your own expenses. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. You might want to include the amount of money that you spend on insurance. We get insurance through my husband's work, so that is taken care of through his paycheck. And if you contribute to any FSA or HSA things, those accounts, you want to make sure you note that. Zach and I have gone back and forth every year on whether or not we should do it. It would definitely get used, but we're like, we'd rather have the money now. It's worth it more to us to have the money than take that money and put it into those accounts and have that extra expense per month. So it's a balancing act, but I have my notes here of what I might spend. That doesn't include anything that pops up. I know, difficult, but this at least gives you a basis of what to start thinking about in terms of planning 2026 out for your health. I know that this is just an unneeded stress. I feel like having to go to multiple doctors, having uncomfortable, undignifying procedures done on you should be the stress that you deal with, right? That should be it. Having this added layer of finances, it's awful. And I don't think it helps our health at all. And unfortunately, this is the system that we are in, that we have to deal with such expenses. So I just want to say that I understand. I hope this video is helpful for maybe taking an ounce of stress away from you when it comes to planning for 2026. I think this year, personally, I want to be better about asking the questions and not just being okay with what I'm told, being okay with expenses that don't make sense to me. Why is this suddenly costing me something when it didn't cost me anything a week ago? Why am I getting this refund? Well, maybe I won't ask that question. Let's not ask questions when they give us money, because I don't want them to take it away. No, but really just asking the questions and delving in deeper. I think sometimes healthcare professionals or front office staff or our insurance companies expect that we know a lot more than we do. We're not doing that professionally. It isn't our job. We're just trying to survive out here with our chronic illness. Let's ask the questions, even if we get attitude back, even if they expect us to know more than we do, because we're paying for this, right? We're paying a lot of money. I almost said a bad word. We're paying a lot of money for it. And the service should work for us, not the other way around. We're working enough on our health. So I hope this video was helpful in some way. And I want to thank Element again for sponsoring it. Definitely, if you deal with dehydration or you just want something to have on hand for when you have dehydration, like when you're sick, Element is absolutely the way to go. You just mix it into your water, and I'm telling you, you feel a lot better after consuming it. I have it every single day. So make sure to check them out at drinkelement.com/LetsTalkIBD. And if you make a purchase, you will get a free sample pack with that order. All right, guys, tell me your thoughts below. Tell me if you have any tips for planning your healthcare finances for 2026, and I will see you in the next. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you are looking for a way to help support my channel, consider liking this video or even subscribing. You can also check out my store at LetsTalkIBD.shop. I have stickers and hoodies like these guys over here, just related to chronic illness and inflammatory bowel disease, something fun. And I also have a coupon code for my YouTube watchers. You could also become a member of my channel, like the wonderful people scrolling on screen here. They've become a member and they have access to videos a little bit earlier. It's a great way to support my channel, and really, just watching my videos means the world. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next.